How to create cinematic moonlight. Hello everybody, my name is Marco Bongioli and today I'm going to show you a music video I did a few weeks ago, and we did a lot of night scenes and we wanted to simulate moonlight. So after watching this video you should be able to shoot something like this. So this is the first scene we're looking at, and the first thing you probably notice is we have this great moonlight coming in, but we still have this warm tones inside the room, and it's overall a really dramatic, moody scene. So how do we shoot a scene like this? First thing I did was, okay, what is the framing? What is the widest shot we do? And this was the widest shot. This was actually just an empty room with a few windows. There was nothing in there. So we had to decide, okay, where do we put this? Where do we put this? And build our set a little bit. So I wanted the most amount of space from left to right. Left was a little bit more important, but I come to you, tell you why in a few seconds. So after we placed this and I set the frame, I wanted to create a little bit more depth. That's the reason why we put this thing in the foreground. We was working with Steadicam here, so I wanted for a push in, push out, something that the camera can actually fly around it so that we have a little bit of parallax. Without the container here in the front of the frame, the shot would feel a lot flatter. So place the camera, set the exposure, set my base ISO, set everything I want, and then we still didn't put on the moonlight. The first thing I wanted to know is, okay, where can I put practicals to make the image a little bit feel more alive? So I wanted to one here in the background, because later there's a scene where he stands here. So I prepared it for the scene already. Also looks good. Then also here for the foreground that we have some moving lights. A few of them actually has a flicker filter on it installed so that we have a little bit of light movement. Overall, light movement always cool for music video. Just static light is always cool, but when you have something to move, it doesn't have to be real. Everything feels a bit more dynamic and more premium. So we choose the flicker, and you can actually see this are just basically aperture lights, bulbs. They don't look as aesthetic as real light bulbs because of the shape, but in a moving motion, no one will tell. A normal person doesn't know what an aperture bulb looks like, only filmmakers do, and we don't do movies or music videos for filmmakers, we do it for the audience. So they really want rather have a cool light that is flickering than no light, because someone thought, you can actually see that's an aperture bulb. Don't be like that. Make cool shots. So after I put my practicals in a nice order, then I put on my moonlight. We have here this window. We actually have a little bit of foil that was just hanging there, and that foil really gave nice texture. But the problem here was it was daytime. So the light was actually blasting the whole room and ruining the mood. So what we did is we blacked out the window. So when this is the side view, here is the window, you would actually place molten all around it on both sides on the top, and then put a light in this black box so that there are some irritation from the sun that's coming in, and you have full control on the light. This light was an aperture 1200x, when I remember correctly, or something around that, with just a Fresnel on it, and color temperature that we went was 10,000 or 9,000. You have to choose a really, really high one to get this cold moonlight feeling. But this is also a stylistic choice. There's actually no reason why moonlight should be blue. It could be most of the time also gray, neutral. It's a stylistic choice for this music video, where we work a lot with this cold and warm temperature, because there are two worlds in this, the underground world, the high class world. We wanted to continue with this feeling of just blue and warm, because it tells underline a little bit of story. So the next step I actually did now is the moment where we place the actor into the scene, or stand in to light him. Never call the actor when you're not ready. They get really fast annoyed by it. So we placed the stand-in, and I wanted a top light feeling. So here at the corner, we put an f22 for an aperture, a carpet light on top with a grid, and just gives in a nice warm top light. But also it not comes directly on top. It was a little bit of an angle behind him, because I only wanted to wrap the light a little bit around him. I don't want to add too much fill on this side because it will remove the three-dimensional feeling I tried to create. So that's the reason why it's actually just a backlight, but I still wanted a bit of fill in his face, and that's where this window comes to play. Because as you can see, here behind is actually butterfly diffusion. This was a half silk was behind it. We just put it behind there. The newspaper was already on that window, so that was a nice touch. And then we blasted just a 300x or 600x through it, that he got a nice fill on the front, that is not just a silhouette. Then to round everything up, we actually did a little bit of haze, just in small bursts, a little bit, that the whole scene get a little bit less contrast. So this is the close-up of the scenery, and as you can see, because I know I wanted more on this side to be with the camera, we tried to put the moonlight at an angle on this side so that we get this nice leading blue lines in the background, and he get this really nice half-lit look on him. Look, it's almost like he's just a silhouette, but the light is just wrapping on a really, really low exposure around his face, that we can still see his eyes, beard, and overall face texture. And always when you're building lighting setups, keep your next shots in mind. When you know the next shot is maybe this corner and then you see all your lighting, bad. So much more time to remove everything and set everything new up. So we don't want it. Try always be smart with your lighting setups. Make it as easy as possible. Not every lighting setup has to be complicated. Then we have this wide shot from outside a big dance room, I would say, something like that, where this limousine is coming in, everything going in there. And the scene was actually pretty easy to do because of this thing here. I was actually pretty scared at the time because some things from the equipment were missing. So we had to figure out a new way, how do we light the scene. But then someone on the location turned on a switch because we actually needed energy in this room in here. And then bam, this nice top light just started blasting, and this looks amazing. Really cool bulbs, nice color, gives the car really nice reflection and a good exposure on the scene. And the only thing we did is in the background, when you want to just have exposure on the background at night, walls, and you don't have big cranes to put the lights 40 feet up in the sky or something like this, just put a strong light, 1200x, 2400, something like that, with a big light dome, yank it with your biggest light stand up and just turn it on really cold white balance. With this you get a really nice, even, soft blue tint across the whole scenery, and not everything gets black and looks bad. I think, in my opinion, that's for sure the most easiest way and most realistic way to create an even exposure at night. Here's basically a camera on the other side where he pulls out of the car, and the only light we had here is in the background was this aperture with the lantern and blue light that was blasting in the background, just giving texture. Also, then don't just drop one light here, one light there. Still, you have to keep in mind, okay, the moon is coming from this direction, so the light only should come also from this direction. And then the next thing here was again on a boom arm, 600D with the lantern to give him the key light. And in combination with this warm key light, and still from this really cool moonlight, that gets nice reflection in the leather jacket, we get a really cool, simple look with just two lights at night, and I think it looks very natural because the warm light is actually the motivation from the big light that we saw before. But when we would put him here with the big light, it looks really flat, really boring. Everything is also bright in the background, so we turned it off so that we had full control over the scenery, and it still works because the audience knew, okay, there was a light in front of him, so this warm light makes sense. You always have to remember, when you established a light concept of the room, where it's coming from this side, everyone saw it, okay, you can change everything you want as long as you keep your own rules you set into this world. But also you can do whatever you want. When the next scene you want to change the light completely and it looks good and it supports the story, do it. Always remember, there are no rules in filmmaking. There are rules that make things more pretty than other things, but overall, just do what you like, what you feel. I always think filmmaking is a little bit of dictatorship. When there's one guy with a vision, follow him. He knows what he thought about it and just try to fulfill his dream. So if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate a subscription from you. My name is Marco Bagnoli and I'll see you next time.